Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
We are just 2 days into our 6-week campervan road trip around Europe, and we are breaking the habit of a lifetime. We normally, at the start of our adventures, blast down through France, use the toll roads and try to get to what we would consider the true starting point of our adventures as soon as we possibly can.
But this time we've decided that we're going to take the slow road and explore some of the little villages that we'll come across and avoid the quite extortionate toll charges. So take a look how we get on. If you've seen our previous videos, you'll know that we have been planning a 6-week campervan road trip to Europe, and we are on day one. We are parked up at one of our favourite car parks in Dover. It's really good, it's handy. The Maison deux car park, it's free, and it's only 2 minutes to the ferry tomorrow. It's been a bit of a drive to get down here though. It's not been the greatest journey from the Dales.
No, we've come down to Dover 3 times this year, twice in the middle of winter for skiing and once now, and the weather was just really tough again, and it is always the hardest part of the journey for us, getting from the Yorkshire Dales down to Dover.
Yeah, we'll forget the 350 miles that took us about 8 hours to drive.
So if you did catch our planning video, you will know that we ultimately want to get to Croatia, Slovenia, the Dolomites and Austria. But we've given ourselves a bit of a window to get down there. We've got about 7 or 8 days and we've sort of mapped out where we would like to be, but we've set ourselves a little target 3 or 4 days in.
The first stop that we want to set up a proper camp is probably one of the Italian lakes. I think probably Lake Maggiore, because that's the one that we've not been to. But we've given ourselves 3 days to actually get to the lakes. Our original plan is that we were going to take the slow road and drive down towards Chamonix, maybe spend a night or 2 in Chamonix and then hop across on the Mont Blanc tunnel to get to the lakes. But the weather forecast is absolutely atrocious at the moment in the Alps. It's forecast to chuck it down for the next 3 days. So I think we're going to have to wake up in the morning, have another look at the weather forecast and maybe just have a look if there's an alternative route not going into the mountains where we can at least not be deluged with rain.
But we are going to sleep on it.
Yeah, that's part of the fun, I think. Just
Yeah.
not quite knowing where we're going to be. I don't know where we'll be tomorrow night, but I'm sure it'll be pretty. Morning.
Morning.
So we're sat on Dover docks and I think we've come up with a bit of a master plan. We have decided that we are going to take 2 nights to get down to Lake Maggiore. So we're going to go down towards the town of Troyes, which is about 2/3 of the way down through France, and stay on the Lac Orient for the night.
And then we're going to dive into Switzerland, hopefully, and just go north of Lake Geneva. And for me, that's really quite exciting because there's definitely going to be a mountain pass to drive over to drop over from Switzerland down into Italy. A little bit more exciting is that there might be the potential for a mountain train, but we haven't quite worked out the route we're going to take because I'm a little bit iffy as to whether the mountain passes are open at this moment in time, so we'll just have to see.
And we're looking forward to just finding some of the little villages that we'll drive through on the way down, and we will catch up with you somewhere near Troyes tonight.
our first stop and we have absolutely no idea where we are. We reckon we're a few miles from the Belgian border. And the roads have been a surprise for me as a driver. Naively, I was stupidly assuming that all motorways were toll roads in France, but they also have a motorway network. So we whacked it into Google and you've got the option of saying no tolls but motorways, and it seems to have worked out fine. Roads are a little bit busier than the tolls, obviously, but they're working all right at the moment.
And we've stopped at a Lidl so that we can stock up because we didn't bring any food with us at all. Normally, when we've come on trips, we have rammed the van full of crisps and any dry foods. We don't like bringing any fresh foods anyway because you're not supposed to. And I'm very law-abiding. I can't go through the customs and worry about that. So, yeah, we've stocked up on a bit of food and we are ready to keep going. We've got about 280 kilometres to go. So we're at the end of our first day travelling through France and we are near the town called Troyes. We are on Lac d'Orient and we have found the most amazing air that's free. It's got services if you need to empty your cassettes, but it's actually got toilets right by the lake and it's got the most stunning boathouse and lots of recreation activities going on around by the lake. It's really, really pretty.
And there are loads of other vans here as well, so there's that comfort in numbers, knowing that, we're not alone out here. And it looks like there's about to be a bit of a storm hit, so I think we could get a bit wet tonight. In terms of the numbers of the day, because we're obviously doing this little experiment of not doing the toll roads and things like that, we travelled 297 miles, and it took us 6 hours and 49 minutes. And as a driver, it was a really strange one because toll roads are really quick, they're really efficient, but I'm terrible, I just get tired so easily. Whereas the non-toll roads, it was obviously a lot slower. We didn't get dual carriageway all the way, despite what we thought, but we got some really nice rural roads and it was a lot more sort of mentally stimulating, so that surprised me. Felt like I was driving a lot, but actually feel a little bit refreshed.
And when we were hungry, we stopped at this really pretty little French village next to a church that had a picnic bench. Richard says, top tip for anyone that's looking for parking, if you head for any centre of a village by the church, there will always be some sort of parking.
The villages just came thick and fast, and as I say, it's sort of like spiced up the journey. But you have to be aware that obviously the rural roads, you're limited to 80 kilometres an hour. And then as you go through the village sign, it drops to 50 kilometres an hour. And then quite a lot of village centres are down to 30 kilometres with the most monstrous speed bumps. So yeah, it's a bit sort of stop-start, but some of the views and some of the experiences we've had today have been amazing.
So good choices so far. We are about a third of the way down to the Italian lakes, which we want to be at by, not tomorrow night, the night after. Tomorrow night we're heading towards just south of Lake Geneva, I think.
Welcome to day 3, and we are on the shores of Lake Geneva. We would have spoken to you last night, but it was a pretty monstrous day and we were both absolutely goosed and just couldn't face speaking to camera last night.
In reality, we only actually drove about 230 miles, but it took us over 8.5 hours to get to Geneva from Lac d'Orient. It was a really long day, but we did get to see the Jura Mountains. We drove over the tops and through some absolutely stunning little villages that we wouldn't have seen if we'd taken the toll roads.
Yeah, it was like a journey of two halves, really. I really enjoyed the first part of it, probably the first 6 hours of it. And yeah, the Juras were definitely somewhere where we want to go back and revisit. But wow, the last 2 hours, I'm not the biggest fan of city driving, but wow, it was a rude awakening for me. Geneva was beautiful, but also just crazy, and it seemed to take for hours for us to get through. And then there was a whole series of roadworks and things like that along the shores. So the last 2 hours felt really long, hence us not talking to you last night.
So today we wouldn't have a toll road option anyway. We are going over the Simplon Pass that goes from the shores of Lake Geneva to drop down into Italy, and hopefully we will be somewhere on an Italian lake by this evening.
And Google Maps tells us it's not going to be a monster 8-hour day. It should be, I don't know, 4 hours. So hopefully we'll go from there, but really looking forward to the drive.
Welcome to the mad, crazy world of mountain railways in Switzerland.
Yeah, we got to the bottom of where the Simplon Pass is, but it did say that it was a bit sketchy. It's icy and snowy at the top, and although we've got all-weather tyres on, we definitely haven't got our snow chains with us.
And rather disturbingly now, we are just about leaving on time. Oh, this is
leaving.
Not very nice. I'm going to flip the camera around. Catch you later.
So we're finally in Italy, and we have found a really nice campsite on the shores of Lake Orta.
Yeah, it's been a long 3-day drive down, and we've just taken 2 nights here at Camping Orta, and it is a beautiful little campsite. It's very terraced, and the drive up to the pictures are quite fearsome, but yeah, it's been a lovely 24 hours of rest. So up until this point, the whole objective of this video was for us to explore the difference between driving on the toll roads and the non-toll roads across France to try and get to what we would consider our first proper destination on our European road trip.
I think we've both really enjoyed the slower pace of life that it is going on the little roads through all of the different French villages. We've seen some places that we would never have found had we stayed on the toll roads. And I know you find the toll roads really hard because at times you feel like you're just staring at tarmac for maybe 200 miles with little else to see.
Yeah, and time did seem to fly on the non-toll roads because there was all that mental stimulation of going through the villages. But it was a little bit frustrating because you just always compare back to the toll roads when you can just cover so much more distance.
We did save ourselves just under €80 in tolls, so that felt really good. And yesterday we did actually treat ourselves to going on a toll road because we'd bought ourselves the Swiss Vignette Pass, because you need that to go on any of their toll roads, and Richard found that so much better.
Yeah, it was just a stark reminder of how easy it could have been. And obviously there is an expense with that, but it was very, very easy driving up the valley to the Simplon Pass. So would we use the toll roads again or the non-toll roads again? And I think the jury's out. It depends on what we want out of the trip. When we are driving to skiing in the winter, we definitely want to get there as soon as possible with as pain-free travel as possible, and the toll roads provide that.
But we have enjoyed the non-toll roads, and it did give us that little bit of an extra view into what it's like in rural France.
So if you're wanting an answer out of this video as to what is best, we can't give you that answer, and it all depends on the situation and the trip that you're going on. And we're going to keep making decisions based on that over the course of our travels in the future. So that's it from us. See you later.
Bye.